Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today we're test driving the 2015 Jeep Patriot. Now, this seems like a little bit of deja vu. I was just here a couple years ago when we test drove a nearly identical 2014 model. Now, we are near the end of the 2015 model year right now. The 2016s are due out pretty soon. They are keeping this around for one more year. And the question really is, why? After all, they've come out with two vehicles that were really supposed to replace this, that being the Cherokee and most recently the Renegade. But this vehicle right here actually outsells the Renegade by a pretty big margin, even though it's old. So we're going to test drive it today and take a good look inside and out and see what keeps buyers coming back. As I said at the outset, the Jeep Patriot's been with us for some time, 2007 to be exact. It's had a few visual changes here and there since then, but for the most part it looks virtually identical to the one that came out almost 10 years ago. The one we're testing this week is a fully loaded Latitude 4x4 with high altitude package. This brings visual niceties like larger 17-inch mineral gray alloy wheels, fog lights, and privacy glass, all framed out with black roof rails up top. Its style is just as familiar as it was back in 2007 with the square traditional look that the first generation Jeep Cherokee made popular, and even reaching back into the iconic shape of the Jeep Wagoneer, though I might be the one reaching a bit there. Inside, the Patriot is basic in design and build. It received an all-new interior a few years back, which was a major improvement in materials and design from the cabin of the first years. It's functional and offers reasonable space for its size. Ours was optioned up with an MSRP of nearly $30,000. It had heated leather seats, power adjustable for the driver, though some adjustments are still manual like recline and lumbar. The steering wheel tilts and telescopes, and the center console sports a 115-volt outlet, among other handy things. Part of that price included the top-of-the-line audio system for $1,435 with an additional $495 for the Uconnect suite of connectivity features. The option unit brings all available forms of media capability, a 40GB hard drive, and navigation system. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the interior on this, I kind of like it because it's very basic. It's not full of a lot of design details and frivolous things that you're going to find in some of its competitors. And even though it's very plain to look at, not very fancy, what I like about it is the fact that it's very robust. The materials are of a reasonably good quality, and you just get the sense it's going to last. So that's the good thing. It's also very comfortable here. This does have leather seats option with heaters, so that's nice. But even if they were the base seats, the position's good, the view out the front's good, even though it is constricted just a little bit by a somewhat small window. It's very good. It's a nice feeling, a comfortable place to be. I do need to pick on a few of the things that are here though, and I'm talking about that $1,400 audio navigation and touchscreen infotainment system. It's junk, okay? Don't spend your money on it. It's not the same integrated system that you're going to find in other Chrysler and Jeep products, which I've praised. This is more of an aftermarket unit. I think they sort of went to a supplier and said, hey, can you give us something with all the bells and whistles, because it's just clunky and it's difficult to use, and it's got this kind of pop-off thing here for the USB cable, and it doesn't quite stick on very well when you go to put it. It's just odd, and for the money that this costs, you can actually go out and buy yourself a very nice aftermarket system and replace whatever comes standard here. Also, no backup camera, not even available at any price. And so that's something that's standard on a lot of competitors. And that's the rub here. A lot of the competitors out there now offer a lot of things standard. This doesn't even offer at any price as options. And so that's really something to consider if you're getting into the more expensive models. If you're in a less expensive base trim, probably not going to be an issue. Rear seat passengers here also get a good high seating position with plenty of head, knee, and leg room, though there aren't any rear seat HVAC vents here. On the plus side, the rear seat back rake does allow for adjustment. The seats do fold down in a 60-40 split for a near-flat cargo floor, and they're folded rather easily in most cases without having to remove the headrests. Under the cargo floor is a spare tire, instead of the inflator like some competitors now give you. So, scoring the interior comes in at 4 out of 5 stars overall. Even though it's basic and simple, it works well for the most part. Storage areas including the small center console, door pockets, and glove box are the major areas in need of improvement. And it should come as no surprise that technology here comes in at only 3 out of 5 stars. The top-end audio and navigation system just simply isn't worth its price in sound quality or usability. And there's no backup camera, no driving assistance features, or crash avoidance systems available here either. Moving on to powertrains, the Jeep Patriot comes with either a 2-liter 4-cylinder with 158 horsepower or the larger 2.4-liter 4 ours has here, which offers up 172 horsepower. In ours, with the Freedom Drive 1 all-wheel drive, it comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission.
Boy, that engine is working hard. And you know what? I hate to say this, but this just doesn't have that much power. Now, we know the horsepower rating. It's on par with its competitors, but for some reason here, be it the tuning, be it the way this transmission works with it, and it very well could be the weight of this vehicle, it just doesn't seem to get delivered. Not in the way that many of its competitors do. So, I think we are at a deficit of performance here a little bit, and I think we might also find out that's going to translate to fuel economy.
And indeed, fuel efficiency wasn't its strong suit. The EPA rates this powertrain combination at 21 mpg city, 27 mpg highway, and 23 mpg combined. In our week with it, we struggled to see 20 mpg combined. Thus, scoring our powertrain here, the lack of power and performance from this engine, its harsh noise at times, and thirst brings for a total score of 3 out of 5 stars. When it comes to chassis, the Jeep Patriot has in our past drives received praise for its all-around good road manners. It comes with a rather basic McPherson strut front suspension and a multi-link independent rear. Steering is still the hydraulic power assist variety, which often gives more feel and feedback than the newer electric power steering units. And with our Freedom Drive 1 all-wheel drive system here, it offers 8.1 inches of ground clearance.
One thing I've always been impressed with in this vehicle is the overall ride and handling on the pavement. This is a vehicle that got a pretty healthy retune of the suspension about halfway through its lifespan, and so what that gave it is a pretty high level of refinement. It's got a nice solid feel to it. The chassis, well, almost bulletproof, I dare say, as far as noise, vibration, and harshness. When you push it into a curve, it gives good feedback. The steering's got a good feel. And quite frankly, when it comes to handling, it's actually fun to drive. Now, this wouldn't be a test-driven TV crossover SUV test drive if we didn't bring it out here to the Desert Washboard Road and throw it around the curves a little bit. So what I'm finding so far is, even though they just recently groomed this road and it's a little smoother than it normally is, what I'm finding here is this thing is handling quite well out here. The stability control gives a little bit of looseness, so I can slide around a little bit, get a little bit of looseness on these corners, so it feels like it's a little bit fun, but the stability control does eventually step in and keep you from completely losing it, provided you're not completely breaking the laws of physics. Now, as far as how solid the structure is, how well the chassis is handling noise, vibration, and harshness, I've always found this to be sort of a medium quantity here. It does better than some, but not as well as others. And all I can tell you is that my experience with this has been that it is a pretty solid vehicle out here on the road. They've really done a lot of good work here. When it comes to driving this thing off the pavement, the thing to remember is this was really the first car-based crossover sport utility that Jeep ever built. So it's actually built pretty stout. They really wanted to make sure that their first attempt at this was taken seriously. And so this does have plenty of ground clearance. It's got a pretty agile suspension, and it feels plenty at home out here out on the trail. Is it as refined as maybe like the Cherokee? Not quite. They've had a few more years of development on that one when it comes to chassis, like in the Trailhawk. But what I'm finding here is that you could very well spend your day out here driving on these rough back trails with this and never feel like you're not at home. Now, when it comes to traction, you can get a full-blown all-wheel drive system above and beyond the basic one that this is equipped with. And that one I've tested before. You can lock it up and you can really get yourself out of some good tight situations. Even this one here, the consumer grade system I have found in the past, works far better than some of what the competitors' best systems offer.
The Freedom Drive 1 system can be locked to send 50% of the power to each of the front and rear axles. Those wanting more can option the Freedom Drive 2 system, which comes with an ultra-low crawl ratio in addition to its locking capabilities. You can only get that with the constantly variable transmission though. With all this, we gave the Patriot 4 out of 5 stars for its chassis score with its solid feel and well-isolated ride on the pavement and its agility in the rough being standouts. For overall quality feel, the Jeep Patriot generally fares pretty well with 4 out of 5 stars. It might be plain and lacking a lot of features competitors have, but it's built well and we could find few faults in its fit and finish. When it comes to safety, the 2015 Jeep Patriot does show its age though. The IIHS rates it with a poor grade on their newest small offset crash test, which puts it at the back of the class competitively. It does score good, however, in their other battery of testing.
Rounding it up for the Patriot, let's have a look at the specs. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about here is the price tag. We're at close to $30,000, near fully loaded. To be honest with you folks, that's way too much money to spend on this vehicle, and I don't say that to be unfair to the car. I say that because if you're spending $30,000, there are a lot of other options in the Jeep showroom too. So the bottom line is this thing's just really starting to show its age, and so what happens is we've got a lot of features this doesn't even offer, which now comes standard on most of its competitors, a backup camera being one of them. And so when you start going through all of those different things, that's what really starts playing into why I think $30,000 is too much for this. Now, when you get into the lower trim grades where you're talking 20, 21, 22, that makes a lot more sense to me, I think. And if you look at what's actually for sale out there on dealership lots, that's mostly what people are actually buying with this. And I think that might actually be a little bit more in keeping with what pencils. Now, fuel economy, below the class average one more time. Most of the vehicles that I test in this class are getting mid-20s. We're down at 20, and that's not only below what the window sticker promises, but I've tested a Tahoe that got a little bit more than that, a Chevrolet Tahoe, so not very good there. So what that plays into is a total value score for the week of 3 stars. When you throw that together with everything else we've already talked about, that gives us 3.5 stars for the week. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Well, I just gave this thing a rating that's not so great in terms of how we rate our cars, but you know something? This thing sells a lot, even though they don't necessarily fall into a highly competitive set. So why is that? Well, here's my little theory. I think people are going to the Jeep showrooms and they're looking at that new Renegade and they're looking at the Cherokee and then they're looking at this and they're going, that's a Jeep. That looks like the Jeep I've always loved, the Jeep I've always remembered. It's not some kind of art project. I'm not saying the other ones are art projects, but their styling is a little bit out there for some folks. And so I really think the combination of price and the combination of the fact that this is a very traditionally styled vehicle still sells it. And that's important because Jeep is right now redesigning this thing. New models due out in 2017. I just hope they don't mess it up. Now, that said, if you like our test drive, click on the link right there and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We test drive 1, sometimes 2 cars a week, and we've got a new video almost every single day. We do this all the time, so stay tuned.